do. How's it going, everybody? Give everybody here just a few more minutes and we'll start chatting. Corey, what's happening? Hey, you're doing Josie's thing Saturday, right? Do you have any Nescos? Okay, I think I've got a few, but I don't know. I think I'm going to have about 120 pounds of pork going on the smoker. Oh yeah, it'd be good. I'm going to have 120 pounds we're putting on the smoker on Thursday. So I'm just going to put it in the Nescos and then put it in the big fridge and then bring it over, and they'll have to plug it in and get stuff warmed up on Saturday morning and go from there. So yeah, 120 pounds. I don't know how much each Nesco holds, probably 30 pounds, 40 pounds at best, I'm guessing. But anyway, all right. Well, I guess welcome back. It's been a couple weeks. We had 4th of July, and then we had Icast, and back in the saddle, and more ways than one. We had some health things or health deals that we fixed, and let's just say I was fixed, and it's been a little uncomfortable to sit in a boat and walk around and everything else. We'll just leave it at that. But fishing, guys, has been absolutely incredible. You know, the one thing with all this heat and warm weather, especially out over in, you know, the small lakes out by me, the panfish have set up these lakes, you know, anything that's, you know, typically deeper than 40, 50 feet, have a little bit of a thermocline that is formed at about the 18 to 20 foot mark. And these fish are just stacked on these thermoclines. Same thing when we were up on Green Bay too. I noticed that most of our fish, you know, fishing in about 24, 25 feet of water, and that thermocline was set up at about 20 feet. And one thing that I've been doing a lot is using the Mega Live and just kind of pointing it at a 45-degree angle away from the boat. So when you're trolling, you can get an exact depth of where these fish are swimming at, rather than trying to guess, you know. And what's crazy, and I've got some video, is, you know, on your 2D sonar and your side imaging, you're seeing fish all over the place, but you don't know where these fish are really at. And what I'm finding is that the stuff that I'm marking on my regular down, you know, 2D sonar, that stuff that we're marking isn't, those fish aren't there. What's crazy is that a lot of these fish, we're seeing, I'm watching them on Mega Live, you know, shooting out 80, 90 feet in front of the boat, and all the fish are up in like 2 to 6 feet of water. And then by the time we get, you know, within 30, 40 yards, I think they're starting to hear the motor noise or whatnot. All of a sudden you'll watch all those fish on the Mega Live go and straight down. And then I think that's when we're marking them on our 2D sonar, is when we're driving over the top of them. after they've been up in that top, 5-10 feet of the water column. Crazy as it may sound, but I know watching on Winnebago, we were catching a lot of sheephead trolling and could not get a walleye. Everything was in that 12 feet of water. So put the Mega Live down, started seeing a lot of fish and, 2 feet underneath the surface, 3 feet underneath the surface. So for the heck of it, I took some Salmos and put them like 10 feet behind the board, had grabbed some of my smallest, pin minnows and, real shallow diving small minnows and put them like 15, 20 feet behind the board. So they're only, diving, 3 to 5 feet at most. And I'm telling you what, we could not keep the boards in the water. Fish were just going crazy. Now, that's typically on the calmer days is when those fish are coming up feeding on bugs, but definitely has opened my eyes a lot on what we're seeing on our graphs while we're out there, motoring around. Those fish that we are going over the top of and marking, good hooks and everything else. I think those fish are coming from the top, swimming down, and by the time they get down there, that's when you finally start to mark them. The other day out on Green Bay, kind of seen the same thing. It was fairly calm in the morning, and we were seeing a lot of nice fish down, kind of set up right above that thermocline. And granted, we were getting some nice fish down there, but there were a lot of fish that were up really high right underneath the surface. So again, just took some baits and some shallow running. I put some husky jerks on and just put them, so they ran like 4 or 5 feet underneath the surface. And I was just dumbfounded on how many of the bigger walleyes we caught doing that versus running snap weights on small baits down at that 20-foot mark. So if you guys have, Mega Live or, Live Scope, anything, just try that once and, report back. Let me know what you guys are seeing, if it's just kind of been a fluke thing. But I can tell you, I don't troll around anymore. Not that I troll a lot anyway, but if I'm going out there, I'm putting that thing, and shooting it off to the side or at a 45-degree angle. So as we're driving up to these pods of fish, I can see exactly where they're at in the water column. And then, like I say, as soon as you get close, it's just straight down. And then they just kind of go down there and hang out. And, maybe you get lucky when you run your baits through them at that depth, but I don't think they're there all the time. I think, your outer boards that are out, searching, few 150 feet or whatever off from the side of the boat. I don't think those fish are being spooked, and we've been proving it. I mean, there's a lot of fish that we're catching super high up in the water column. So anyway, just food for thought on that whole deal. But back to kind of the thermocline thing. It's crazy to see the thermocline set up on these small lakes, and all these bluegills and crappies and stuff are just sitting right. Normally when you're driving around on these Wapaka, Washara County lakes, I've been fishing the chain actually quite a bit, and you got a lot of fish that really like to work the weed edges on the chain of lakes. For anybody that's not fished the chain, it is, most of the shorelines are extremely deep drop-offs. It'll go super shallow sand and then a little bit of weeds and then some really tall weeds, and it'll go from that 12, 14 feet to 30 feet in one end of the boat to the other. Super steep drop-offs, and a lot of the fish are sitting up on those edges. But then when you find those fish that are suspended, typically they're in like big balls. Bluegills and crappies will swim around in big schools, big balls. What we've been seeing is wherever the thermocline is, they're not balled up, they're literally like in lines. It's like they can't go any higher and they can't go any lower, and they're like a foot and a half off that thermocline, and they stay there. And when you find that, take the Mega Live or whatever you have for sonar, just cast, figure out whatever your fall rate is. But most of the time, these fish, when you're watching them, if it gets within, 5 feet of them, they come racing up, they grab it, and they try and go right back down. So it's been crazy. It's way different year than what I can remember. I don't know if it's just because of the lack of water, lack of fresh oxygen. The heat kind of, I think, a little bit to play with everything is kind of happening out here. But crappies and the bluegills on the chain. We just actually cooked a bunch of fresh ones up tonight. Buddy Tracy, who let me take some fish home for once. We had some nice crappies and bluegills, and just used some catch and cook. I've got a video on how we did that that'll pop up later tonight. But awesome dinner. As far as what's happening, I guess let's touch on the Winnebago system. Some reports, had some buddies that were doing good out on Poigan trolling. Out on Winnebago, I've still been jigging up a lot of walleyes and smallmouth. The smallmouth have been absolutely incredible. Seems like we're catching, 4 or 5 smallies to every walleye when we find them. It's been a lot of fun. And it's great for guiding because you never know what you're going to catch. And believe it or not, we really haven't been doing a lot on the sheephead. Every once in a while, you'll get on a rock pile and it seems like there's a whole pot of sheephead. But once you feed through them, or weed through them, I guess, and feed them to the pelicans, it seems like once the sheephead are kind of gone, if you hang it out there a little bit longer, the smallies and the walleyes have started to eat. And for the most part, I've been throwing willow vibes with a half a crawler and Ned rigs. Really, those have been the only 2 baits that we have been throwing. The nice thing about those willow vibes, if you have somebody new in your boat, you put a half a crawler on and you tell them to cast it out as far as you can, let it hit the bottom, and it's literally just extremely slow retrieve. And those blades vibrate at really slow speeds. And whether it be smallies or walleyes, perch, we've been catching pretty much everything on those. So that's been really good. And then the Ned rigs, look for those bigger rocks, get off those areas that have a lot of gravel and smaller rocks, and try and find those areas that have bigger chunk rock on your side imaging, and start throwing Ned rigs and just letting them sit too. What's happening right now is these crayfish, as they're molting and moving around, even the smallies, the perch and the walleyes, all the bigger fish that we've been getting have been coughing up crayfish when you get them in the boat. Or there's like crayfish down, in their throats too. But fishing a Ned rig, twitch that thing 3 or 4 times and then just hold it. And then what happens, I think, is these fish come in, they see that, and they look down in those crevices and they see something down there. And then the minute you as so much touch, your line and make that Ned rig move again, kapow, it's all over. It's been a really fun bite. Again, super easy, not having to worry about live bait, and making a mess in the boat is also pretty nice too. But with the willow vibes, putting a half a crawler on, we're still getting crawlers and good old crawler juice and dirt and everything around in the boat. But so that's kind of been the thing is, we've been looking, obviously we want wind. When it's been calm, we've been going out and finding some deeper rock structure, the areas up around Garlic, off the edges, Little Blackbird, there's a couple of deeper humps out there. Out by Stevens, there's some deeper rocks. And anywhere you can find rock in, 9 to 11, 12 feet of water, on the calmer days seems to be pretty good. If it's blowing, it's been easy. I mean, any bit of wind at all, and you can go up on pretty much any rock pile, 3, 4, 5 feet of water, and cast a Ned rig or a willow vibe, or just casting flicker shads. And there's been a ton of fish and a lot of nice fish. We've been catching, a lot of, low 20s, 18s, 19s have been pretty common. And then, obviously getting some of those 15, 16 inches too. And what's crazy is sometimes when you get into a school of fish, what we've been seeing is these fish are coughing up a lot of perch. I'm not seeing anything else. If I put some fish in my live well and we come back, and put another one in there 15 minutes later or whatnot. The live wells got perch in it, and big perch. The last I had a 19-inch walleye in the live well, and it coughed up about an 8.5-inch perch. And so I was pretty surprised to see that. So with all the food that is in this system, shiners and trout perch and whatnot, I know there was a big die-off earlier this season, but there's still pretty good sized bait pods, swimming around out there. It's surprising to see that these fish are eating these big perch. So that being said, don't be afraid to try some bigger baits. If you guys are going to do some trolling. But the jig bite for me has been really good. Days that it has been calm too, we've been going up around Nina, Menasha, and trying to find some deeper weeds. And that's been really good as well. The nice thing about that is you can cast, some swim baits or those willow vibes, pulling those willow vibes through the weeds. There we're using a 1/4 ounce. It'll ride higher up in the water. If you're fishing the rocks or in a river, you want your baits to stay down near the bottom. So that's when you're going to want to use the 3/8. Now they have two different colors. They have a silver and a gold blade. Seems like on the dark days, the silver works best, and then on bright sunny days, the gold's working best. So that's kind of been the fishing report up on the bay. Jigging the weeds back by Ganos has been really good. Any of the rock piles on the east shore from Vincent, Volks, College Reef, all those, all holding fish. Again, wind dependent. The trolling bite out in the mud has been absolutely fantastic. Up by the shark fin. What's been working best for me has been number 7 flicker minnows. The purple chrome or that purple flash has been really good. I've been, letting 50 feet of line out, 2-ounce snap weight, and then going down to a total of 90 feet of line, letting another 40 feet of line out, and running those baits kind of deep. And then if you see the fish up shallow, we've been running just the number 5s and number 7s, like 15, about 15 to 20 feet behind the board. And those have been doing really well too when you start seeing those fish up high. So that's kind of, the deal up there. Still prefer to jig versus the troll. And if we got any bit of wind, you'll see me with a jig stick in my hand. Icast. So let's kind of do a recap on Icast. The fishing industry is kind of in a bit of turmoil, I guess, if you want to call it that, or, just a bit of uncertainty. There's a lot of inventory floating around from all the manufacturers. We had COVID where nobody could get anything. And all these manufacturers, the companies, the Berkeleys, Tim said jig and wraps have been good up there too. Absolutely. Jig and wraps or fish and shiver minnows, any of that kind of stuff has been good. But don't be afraid, just if you can get in the weeds, you're getting a lot of perch and walleyes mixed in, jig with a half a crawler, or, I've been throwing, Ned rigs on the rocks too with the hula skirts, the longer tails, with a 3/8 ounce Ned head, and just bouncing that thing on the rocks. And the nice thing with that is you don't have to worry about catching gobies or anything. If you're going to get a bite, it's typically going to be a walleye. We've got a few perch, and we've got a few sheephead, but it's pretty much been out. I seen Tim out in the mud trolling yesterday. Tim, he's a troller. I know he is. Troller at heart. The rocks, fishing those bigger Ned rigs and swim baits and stuff like that up on the bay is a lot of fun. The nice thing too is that if you get cut from the zebra mussels, you're not out $7. You're only out, a few cents versus, losing expensive baits. Let's see the Icast recap of going back, with all these companies kind of sitting in a lot of Tim, was that you guys out on Green Bay yesterday, sitting out in the middle of the mud, just throwing baits around? I think there were a couple of boats that we had one big pot of fish that we kept going over, and it was dynamite. And I should have got the jig rods out and threw some baits, but it was just so easy just to keep going around in circles and, just putting fish after fish after fish in the boat for a while. It was crazy. But anyway, so a lot of inventory around. So a lot of these companies didn't really go balls to the walls as far as coming out with new stuff because they've got so much stuff to sell already. Z-Man, working with those guys, spent a lot of time in the Z-Man booth, spent a lot of time in the Mustad booth. And they've got, Mustad's got a new hook out, their new Alpha Point, super, super sharp. You can take an Ultra Point and, play around with it and you can feel how sticky it is, good, really good sharp points. But the new Alpha Point, if you think you got a sticky hook, these things are incredible. I can't wait to get some of these and replace a lot of my crankbait hooks, or even, just using the jig hooks. They make a jig hook that we can put into our molds, our do-it molds, and make our own jigs with some of these Alpha Points. And super nice, very, very durable. Don't have to worry about that thing curling over. The Ultra Point's still going to be the most durable of the two, but when you get something that's that sharp and that sticky, usually, if you touch a rock or something like that, it's just going to curl over on you and you're not going to have to worry about it. The other neat thing is that for your crankbaits, the coating that they have on their treble hooks, I think if I remember right, it was like 500 hours of salt water. However they measure it, 500 hours sitting in salt water and before it starts to corrode. And we don't have to worry about salt, obviously. So we should never have to worry about any rusting or anything like that with those hooks. So some pretty cool stuff from Mustad coming out. There's really wasn't anything that was like, wow, look at this type of a thing. I think what won best of show was a rod handle. I mean, if that tells you anything. So kind of an off year, a down year. I'm hoping that next year, obviously we'll see how everything goes with the economy and with what's happening in the fishing industry. There's, again, a lot of consolidation happening. Rapala bought the majority now of 13 Fishing. So that's going to free up a lot of the stuff over at 13. And they're going to be able to concentrate mainly on design and building product versus having to worry about all the logistics and shipping and everything else that, they're not good at. But they are good at designing products. So it was nice to, talk to my friends from over there and wish those guys all the best of luck. And congrats to the Normark boys or Rapala for, acquiring the majority of that. So that was kind of a big news that happened at the show. A lot of companies, bigger, companies are for sale. If anybody wants to buy a fishing company, hit me up. I'll send you some places to go take a look and you can own a piece of the fishing world. A lot of rods and reels from all the major players, Daiwa, Shimano, Berkeley did a complete revamp of Fenwick. Some really nice stuff. They are going to try and kind of bring that line back up. And Cast King had something that I thought was pretty goofy. They had they call it the iReel. It is a reel that basically monitors everything that you do. It'll tell you how far you cast. It'll tell you how many times you cast, average distance you cast. I mean, all kinds of crazy information. Plug this thing into a USB port and records all the data and plays it back to you over your Bluetooth stereo. Why? I have no idea. It got pretty annoying after a while, after these guys are sitting there flipping all day. You casted 10.3 meters. You casted 10.7 meters. Just constantly, all day long, it's coming over Bluetooth speakers and it's like, yeah, dumb. I don't know what I need to know that kind of stuff for, but whatever, it's somebody will buy it, I'm sure. Trying to think of what else there really was. Z-Man has a lot of cool new baits. They've kind of Going after again more of the finesse stuff. They've got some new finesse minnow heads. We're going to be launching a bunch of videos. I've got all kinds of video I got to edit that we were down there talking with. And they've got some new plastics. The new Goby is going to be pretty stellar for up on Green Bay. That thing is, I cannot wait to get my hands on some of those and cast those things up on the bay. The smallies and the walleyes are going to go crazy. And I actually think it's going to do great on Winnebago too. The way that thing glides through the water, there's no way to really make that thing jump. It always is riding perfectly horizontal in the water. No matter how hard you rip that thing, it just glides horizontal. And then, the difference, a lot of people were saying it looks like, that dark sleeper from Mega Bass, and it does, but the durability of that bait, for $10, you get maybe 1 or 2 fish and it's done. The nice thing with the Z-Man stuff is that Elastec, you can catch 50 fish on a bait and still, you might have a couple scratches on the plastic, but it's not going to rip a tail off or rip that bait up. So definitely a bigger advantage fishing the Z-Man thing. It's always nice to improve on a product. Granted, there's a lot of companies out there that will copy products, but you got to look. It's not typically a copy. It's more or less an improvement. The one thing I will say, and I may get some flack for putting this out there or saying it, but I got a really bad vibe from Vexen Tackle. They copied the Arctic Claw that was done by our friends at Firehouse Tip-Ups. We've been working with those guys, and they designed this thing in their garage and really did a really nice job of it. And then Vexen HT, whatever it may be, comes in and completely knocks this thing off to the T, which I get it. HT's, really good at doing that, but it's just crazy to see how ruthless some of these companies can be. And, it was pretty bad to see what they did with that tip up. The guys at Firehouse, you guys, I guess, pat yourselves on the back because you got somebody coming after you because you guys have a really good product. And it was pretty sad to see there. Let's see. Have to buy new orcs. My blue. Been going with people who asked me to go. Tim, let's go fishing. Anytime you want to jump in a boat, man. I don't know what your schedules are, but it'd be nice to go spend some time out on the water with you. We'll even leave the trolling rods at home. As much as I know you love to troll, we'll leave them at home, or we can bring one and you can troll and I'll cast. So it was hot. It was very sticky and humid. I don't know how those people could live down there, but it really wasn't. There wasn't that exciting, super cool new product that that we've seen in the past years, and rightfully so. It's like I say, it's an off year. Seems like every couple of years you have a year that everybody comes out with something new, and this year was just pretty mild. Let's see, if I was going to take away anything from the show, it was definitely probably more bait oriented. I see, like the guys at Flop, with the Flop box, congratulations to them. They were down there first time ever and won best of category. So that was cool to see. Let's see, what was, in your opinion, the best new product there? That's what I'm trying to think of, Corey. There really wasn't anything that just screamed, I got to have that. I mean, there was some neat stuff. But nothing that was like earth-shattering, groundbreaking. The stuff that won best of categories is all, I think, more political than stuff that was really, due to win it. The Flop box, definitely. Congratulations to those guys. Those guys came out with something that, is radically awesome. They did their homework, and, I've been fishing it now for almost a year, and it's just an incredible product. I mean, there's really not much more short of adding a light or something to the box that that you can do with that. The next size up, the larger size is going to be coming out here in fall. So that'll be good for, you know, the musky guys for keeping suckers and such. So, you know, that was really neat to see those guys. Just trying to think, you know, going through my phone and looking at some of the pictures of the new products, and there just wasn't anything that was crazy cool. Let me pull this up. You know, the new trolling motors from Minn Kota, the Quest series. You know, I will say, I was like wowed by how much torque those things have. Once I get that thing on the boat, or once you see one of those in action, it's going to be super impressive. It's a brushless. They did a lot of really nice, improvements too, for guys that are mounting all kinds of stuff on their trolling motors now. You know, the bracketry has been redesigned and stronger. You can put, you know, the different gas shocks for lifting everything up. Once everything's installed, you know, different transducers and stuff are installed on there. The nice, you know, one of the nice features I like about it is that when you go to stow it, you know, you pick it up, the motor will shut off and it'll rotate itself. So all you have to do is pull it back, and it cradles itself into place. Right now, make sure your trolling motor is off, so when you do pull it up, it doesn't hit the side of your boat when it's turning, and you kind of have to adjust it to fall back onto the cradle. So that's kind of nice. You know, they did some improvements there. And then when you do drop it in the water, the thing automatically centers itself, so it's pointing straight forward. So again, I had a really nice conversation with Scott Fairbairn, and he walked me through the motor, and we got some good video with that. And I've got a bunch of awesome video on, you know, all the new Z-Man stuff. Let's see. Just looking through, Berkeley had some new baits, that, you know, some new swim baits, and they came out with the new thin fishers. You know, it used to be the Johnsons, their style of blade baits. I've always liked them. They had a really good rattle to them, or good vibration. I like kind of the speed of vibration. So they've got some new colors and stuff like that out. And on the they've got the deep hit sticks. Those were new this year. Those will be nice for trolling up on the bay. And I'm just going through my pictures here, and really what else was new. And I don't see, they had, Berkeley has a new bait called the Power Switch, or the Power Bait Power Switch. It's kind of a pre-rigged soft plastic. So really cool colors. And I can see those being pretty good for guys casting that like to do a lot of casting. I can post the pictures of that. But other than that, it was, like I say, there's nothing that screamed at me that said, wow, you got to have it. Short of, you know, a few baits. And, you know, the new Shimano reels were pretty sexy. Yes, those chairs. So that's the next conversation we're going to have is, you know, if I'm sure everybody's seen it because it's been shared almost 1,000 times, about 500,000 views on the picture, and the thing just went completely viral. So the lady that was doing them has pulled the ad off. I completely overwhelmed and basically broke her internet, and we are going to start making them. Steph is a phenomenal artist. You guys have all seen my wife's work. And, you know, with the woodworking and what I can do, we've got definitely some improvements that can be done on the quality of those chairs. I love them to death. They're sitting on our front porch right now. And the lady did an amazing job painting them. She even did like some prototypes, some smaller scale versions, and was sending pictures back to us saying, hey, how do you like this? Or what should we change different? So they're done. They're here. And I just got bombarded with messages. And so we're going to start making some. I want to get a walleye set done, and I'm sure we'll do some more bluegills and that too, some crappies. But once we get things going here, we'll figure out price and probably start taking some orders. I've got guys that own RV resorts down in Texas that want, piles of these things, different, redfish and all kinds of different designs. So I think there's a market there, and that'll keep my wife busy, and she can do the painting and I'll do the building. So we'll be selling chairs. We've got a bluegill. I can't wait, between the chairs and the 5-foot wood carving that's going to go up in the cathedral part of the ceiling here in the boathouse. I can't wait to get that thing done. And then the only thing I got to find yet, I know my son's got a connection, but if anybody else has anybody that can do like a laser cutting on metal, I want to get the bluegill's boathouse cut out on some steel, and I can hang that up on the up by the bluegill. So that'll be it, and that'll kind of finish off the that wall on the inside pretty nice. I'm pretty excited. Oh, what else do we got? We got Josie's gift on Saturday, and the Mercury tomorrow's angler event on Sunday out of Skipper Bud's. If anybody's out and about around Oshkosh, 2 great events that are happening this weekend. Excited to help out with the Josie's deal. We've got, I say we were cooking all the pork, cooking all the meat on Thursday for that. I think BJ was telling me they're going to have close to about 250 people or so. So we're throwing a bunch of pork on the grill, take out some kids, and kind of give back. And yeah, should be a good time. Looking forward to seeing everybody there, and be an honor to take everybody out and help out with that event. And then tomorrow's angler out of Skipper Bud's. I'm gonna try and get down there and do some drone footage and take some pictures and stuff. I'm not running that. I was supposed to be gone on Sunday, and schedule opened up, and I'm gonna go down there and try and help out with that. So that's really what I know. My belly is full from eating some bluegills and crappies, and I am gonna probably hit the rack and maybe lay down and watch some movie or something with the kids tonight, and just kind of chill and hang out for a little bit. And that's what I know. So I got a question for everybody that's still watching, still hanging on, but worm bedding. What have you guys found to be your best worm bedding? The one, peat moss. I've used peat moss in the past. Used the Fat and Sassy. Used Magic. It's all good stuff, but I haven't found that one product that really does well. Seems like the Fat and Sassy dries out too quick. The Magic stuff is just messy and again dries out really quick. Bus bedding kills everything that it touches. I really, kind of looking for an alternative here on what to use for some bedding. So if anybody's got any tips or hints or whatever you guys have found to work good in the past. Right now, my favorite is still good black dirt, potting soil, or whatever you want to find. Anything that is more just natural with a little bit of peat moss mixed in has definitely been, how I've been able to keep the crawlers the longest. Other than that, yeah, that's all I know, guys. I appreciate y'all tuning in, and good luck fishing here over the weekend. See me out there, say hi, and we'll catch you guys on the water. And stay tuned. There's a whole bunch of videos that are going to be coming up here showing what we did down at Icast, and it will kind of open your eyes a little bit on some of the new baits that are out. But that's it. We'll catch you guys later. Thanks again for tuning in, Corey and all the guys fishing this weekend. We'll see you on Saturday. I'll message you, Corey, if you got some Nescos. I'm coming through town tomorrow because I got to go to Piggly Wiggly and pick up all the meat. And hey, as long as we got Piggly Wiggly, Spencer at Piggly Wiggly and Amro is donating some of the meat for Josie's event. So Spencer, thank you so much. That means a lot. That's awesome for you to help out with that. So And Corey was asking where he could get some catch and cook. I'll send you the information over back to Spencer. We're trying to get it in at the Pagan Amro and Oshkosh. So that'd be awesome if we could get that in the stores there. And then we're going to try and do a like a cooking day. That would be good. Tim, yeah, if you have a Nesco, I will it'd be good if I could borrow that. That would be awesome. Because I think I'm going to run out here with 120 pounds of meat's a lot of meat. I'll be able to obviously put it in buckets, or I've got enough pans right now, but for the event to keep everything warm, unless somebody can just, bring a cooker or something like that. I don't know, but I think it would just be easier to plug in a bunch of Nescos there, and then they can swap them out as need be. So I will, tomorrow I'm coming into town. I have a trip out on Poigan in the morning. I will be in town about noon to pick those up, or pick all the meat up from Piggly Wiggly. So shoot me a message on Facebook, Tim, and let me know where I could pick that up from you, and that'd be awesome. And we'll get her back to you right after. Super cool. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you later. I'm going to go hang out with the kiddos, and we'll see you guys next week.